Welcome back to the channel, everybody, and today we're going to be reviewing the next chapter of Dragon Ball X One Punch Man. This time, the return of Cooler. Again. So this is actually a fan manga. I've been reviewing the other chapters. This is actually chapter 4. If you want to find the rest of them to catch up, I'll have a card here, and I'll also put them in the description and pin his top comment. The very opening page, we see Genos all beat up, and he's actually beat a very formidable robot called Kaka. This is the fighter that was actually part of Turles' crew in Dragon Ball Z Movie 3. His name is actually pronounced Cacao, I believe. So Genos beat this guy, which is pretty cool. Genos asks Dr. Kuseno to repair him, which is what he normally does after every fight he gets beat up. Now, Dr. Kuseno has burned his hand. He's unable to repair Genos, but he knows a strange family that has the ability to repair him. And lo and behold, that is Capsule Corp and Bulma with her dad. So Genos wakes up from his repairs, and he is actually wearing Android 16's entire body, pretty much. So they pretty much just put Genos' head on Android 16's body, which they've been keeping locked away for a good reason, and this seems to be the good purpose for having his parts left over, I guess after Cell blew him up. And Genos is like, wow, I can't believe how much stronger I've gotten from this body. He also can't believe that there's some other geniuses out there that are comparable to Dr. Kuseno, which Bulma and Dr. Briefs definitely are. And Bulma's like, you want to take a break? And Genos is like, no, I must achieve my goals and set out and train and get stronger to impress Saitama Sensei. But when he goes outside, he actually bumps into Jacko. Now, Jacko is telling them that the Earth is in great danger because Frieza's brother, Cooler, is coming to the planet. Now, this is the same Cooler. Actually, it'll be explained in this chapter, but this is pretty much Resurrection Cooler. And how he was revived is King Cold had some super regeneration cells, which could repair even the slightest bit of flesh into a full body. We'll get into that in a little bit. And this time you actually have adult Gohan in the tracksuit. And what it actually is a kind of like a mix between Resurrection F with, Piccolo and Tien and Roshi and Gohan in the tracksuit versus all of the Frieza Force members. Plus this time you got Genos, and it's not Frieza, it's Cooler. And so this Cooler is super, super strong. He's pretty much 3 times stronger than Golden Cooler. And we got a little bit of comedy dialogue between Genos and Jacko, because Genos is saying, is this Cooler a disaster level demon? And he also told Jacko to go tell Saitama, his master, about the situation. And Jacko's like, who's your master? Can he come help us? And Genos, standing up all proud, says, my teacher is unbeatable. So we're actually not going to get Saitama in this chapter until the very end. For now, we see Genos land and see the spaceship coming towards Earth, and he prepares to attack it. So that's the spaceship with Cooler inside. Now this is the really cool part. He rips off his arms and he charges up the Hell's Flash, which Android 16 used against Cell. Beautiful scene right here. I absolutely love this so much. I remember the very first time I saw that scene in Dragon Ball Z growing up with my brother, and we were just jumping into the air with excitement, screaming when Android 16 used Hell's Flash. Genos launches that nuke of Hell's Flash up at the spaceship. He actually ends up hitting it, destroying the spaceship, but all of the villains end up getting out safe without a scratch on them. However, the spaceship is gone, so he did something, which is pretty good. And out of that rubble, out of the explosion, he says, too easy, while standing with a cool pose. You see Frieza's goons jump out, and they're like, you bastard, what are you trying to do here? They're all angry that he just blew up the spaceship. Meanwhile, Genos eyeballs Cooler sitting in the Frieza chair. But then their scouters start beeping and going off, and Genos, I guess, has an internal scouter as well, because he's an android, and we get to see Piccolo come in with tracksuit Gohan, the weak version of Gohan, the disgraced version of Gohan. So they have their little introductions there. This is the first time they've met. Gohan says, this is my friend, Piccolo. Gohan, we know that's not your friend. We know that's your dad. Piccolo is your father. Everybody knows it. And then somebody steps down next to them, and Genos thinks that it's Saitama, and it's actually Tien. And he sees all these baldies arrive, Krillin, Tien, and Roshi, and he just kind of loses it. I love this. It's like I love the comical nature that Dragon Garou Lee, the artist behind this, he's actually able to capture like what the characteristics and personalities of these characters and how they would actually communicate with each other, and I love it. He gets it down to a T. So Salza, the second in command, he says, "Let us dispose of this trash for you." And they call him Armored Squadron Go. Now earlier, I forget who it was, somebody said that they're actually stronger than the Ginyu Force was. So these guys are pretty juiced up. And Piccolo says, "Here they come." Everybody prepares. I don't know, it's weird because the Ginyu Force is like nothing. Like adult Gohan should be able to take them out with like his pinky. But this is just some fun crossover kind of manga, so we kind of just have to take it for what it is and expect these guys to put on a decent challenge. So Piccolo says, let's split it up and engage them one-on-one, going in against Doré and just punching him. I love this panel, man. It really reminds me of Piccolo versus Frieza over on Namek. I mean, he's just got the Toriyama art down to the T. It's just crazy to believe this is just a fan artist. Salza goes in on Gohan, who's just simply blocking. Bro, you gotta learn how to dodge, Gohan. Come on. Gohan throws some fists, and Salza is blocking all of those, and everybody breaks out in an all-out war. Now against Knees, he charges in against Krillin, Tien, and Master Roshi. And so very familiar to the Frieza Force coming to Earth in Resurrection F, Roshi buffs up, and they get ready to go to battle. Now Roshi charges up a Kamehameha and blasts it at Knees, who just simply blows some air out of his mouth and dispels the Kamehameha. So that's, at least he got some power scaling done correctly there. I mean, in Dragon Ball Super, Master Roshi in the Tournament of Power put in way too much work. Don't get me wrong, I loved the episode with him. I thought it was emotional, thought it was great. I also think he should have died, so it would have been even more emotionally impactful. But regardless, Roshi really shouldn't be that strong. Krillin is throwing an array of Kianzans at Knees, and one flies right at his head, and it looks like it chops off his head. Roshi's saying, "Good job, Krillin," but we know what Knees can do from Dragon Ball Z Movie 5. He's like a turtle himself. He can pop his head into his body. And Krillin's like, dang, he's clever, but Tien uses Solar Flare, Taioken, and blinds him. Then Tien charges up his Shinkikoho and blasts Knees with 3 different abilities simultaneously, also throwing in a Kamehameha there, and it seems like all 3 attacks hit directly. And you would assume that he'd be dead there, but no, he's pretty much fine. Just showing exactly how strong these guys are. Way stronger than the Ginyu Force. Again, this is like such a mix of timelines and stuff. It doesn't really make any sense whatsoever, but it's enjoyable nonetheless. Tien can't believe it, and Genos is sitting there with his arms folded, like just analyzing the situation. They're making Genos seem like he's way stronger than all the Dragon Ball Z fighters right now. So Piccolo and Gohan are still fighting against their own opponents, and Salza is using his little hand blade that he used in Movie 5. So Piccolo's like, hey, fight fire with fire, here's a sword. And he just poofs a sword out of thin air, giving it to Gohan so that he can do battle with a blade of his own, which is kind of neat, I guess. He also gives him his Mystic Gohan uniform. We'll take that over the tracksuit any day, and the battle is about to continue. Now, Piccolo was distracted, and he gets just nailed in the face by Doré, but he just spits out some blood, and he's like, I got something to ask you. So pretty much he's trying to figure out how these guys are alive again, and he's like, you use the Dragon Balls, right? And so what Doré is saying is that the King Cold's regeneration chambers can heal you to full, even if it's just like a piece of your flesh. They're like some super advanced technology. And Piccolo laughs it off. He's like, that's how you survived? How pitiful. It's almost like cell regeneration, but from a chamber. And with that, Piccolo just lands a fatal blow. The guy coughs out like all his blood and spit and everything, and tries to go in against Piccolo some more, but he's just losing miserably, and he's about to die. So as he throws some punches, Piccolo appears right behind him with the hand out and says, "Be gone, thought," and just blasts the living hell out of the guy, disintegrating him into space trash, and says, "Enjoy hell." I love that Piccolo, man. We need that Piccolo back. Hardly a challenge. Enjoy hell. I'm pretty sure that Piccolo must be one of Dragon Garou Lee's favorite Dragon Ball characters because he gives him so much justice in this. Meanwhile, Gohan is still fighting Salza, but he's actually winning now with his sword, saying that his energy is stronger and Salza simply cannot compete with him. So the guy's like all frustrated and everything. He charges into Gohan, and Gohan says, you know what, I'll just take you out with my bare hands. And this is when Gohan just really steps it up, showing that he can increase his power level whenever he wants, and he's been pretty much just hiding his true power this whole time. He's just holding his wrist so hard that Salza can't even move, and Gohan literally kills him in one hit. That's the Gohan we want to see. That's the Gohan that Dragon Ball fans want. We don't want tracksuit Gohan. We got like an evolution of Gohan in this one fan manga, from trash Gohan that we don't want to the real Gohan, the mystic, the ultimate form Gohan that gives no Fs. I love it, and I know you guys do too. So the final crew member of Cooler, Knees, is right now fighting against Krillin, Tien, and Master Roshi, and he uses an ability. So this guy is like, I guess, I don't know, he's really strong. He uses an ability that like electrocutes the heck out of all three of them and turns them into toast. Oh, I'm sorry, Master Roshi's actually on the ground here. He's like, no, Krillin and Tien, and Knees says, I got some for you, and he throws a lightning bolt or whatever that electricity is down at Master Roshi, who actually gets saved by Genos. So we get a little bit of comical dialogue here. They're like, who is that guy? He's got Android 16's body, but he seems to be on our side. Knees is trying to measure his power level, but he obviously can't because he's an android, or Genos likes to refer to himself as a cyborg. And he's saying blunt force without technique is worthless. This is what I learned through countless life-threatening battles. Awesome panel there and stature of Genos, who's about to go in and completely wreck Knees. He just blasts off the ground there, and so fast that Knees can't even believe it. This is so exciting. Oh, you can see Knees' eyeballs like launching out of his head from the power of that punch of Genos. Knees tries to escape and throw one of his signature lightning bolts at Genos, but Genos points his hand towards Knees and rockets off his arm punch, just exactly like Android 16 did to Cell. And you gotta love this, man. I mean, this is just perfection. Like, I would love to see this animated so bad. And that's pretty much it for Knees, who just took some insane blows from Super 16 Genos. I love this. Finally finishing him off with an Inferno Blast, which is gonna disintegrate Knees. So then his arm flies back, it clicks back onto his arm, and nobody can believe it. He's like, wow, he's so strong. And now what about Cooler? Meanwhile, Cooler is over there doing push-ups on one finger. His feet aren't even touching the ground. And Piccolo looks a little worried there. I mean, I'm pretty sure that they can all do push-ups on one finger. They can fly, so doing push-ups on one finger should be pretty easy. Anyways, Cooler's really waiting for Goku. He wants to fight the Super Saiyan that blasted him into the sun before. I guess it makes sense that he doesn't really know Goku's name. Anyways, Cooler's saying that Frieza's blind self-confidence led him to believe he could defeat Goku and Vegeta with just 4 months of training, and that's because he's an idiot. So what Cooler did was he trained for an entire year, 3 times as much as Frieza did, which gave him his golden form, and so that means that Cooler must be a complete absolute beast at this point. Now Piccolo's like, let me entertain you, and he's gonna step up to the plate. Also, Gohan's not gonna hold back anymore, and he unleashes his ultimate form, which blows everybody away. And then Gohan says, don't worry Piccolo, I'm ready. But as they're chatting, Cooler appears right behind Piccolo and stabs him through the chest with his fist. That's it for Piccolo in this chapter, and he just tosses Piccolo aside, which throws Gohan into an enrage, and he charges in at Cooler, but Cooler just catches his ultimate powered punch like it was nothing. So this is trying to show you how strong this resurrection of Cooler actually is after an entire year of intense training. He's even able to take out Ultimate Gohan like he's completely nothing, like he's a human. Like, that's how weak he seems to Cooler. This is actually a decent storyline, although I'm really done with the whole like Frieza thing and Cooler thing. We're pretty sure that it's like 99.99% confirmed that there's another Dragon Ball Super movie in the works, and it really could honestly be a resurrection of Cooler, honestly. So Cooler's flying in towards Gohan, and Genos shoots out his rocket arm, which actually punches and hurts this super-powered Cooler, which actually doesn't make any sense at all, but who cares? It's a fan story, right? There's no way Android 16 Genos should be able to take on someone that's like the level of gods, right? Genos says, "Cease and desist, creature, or I'll destroy you." I love Genos. Like, I love how like serious he is, and his personality is so fun. So if you remember from the beginning of the chapter, Jacko had left to go find Saitama and tell him about the threat to this planet. And they pretty much just have a little conversation here saying about how strong Cooler is, and he's a world-destroying monster, and he tells Saitama to get his suit ready and help fight. And that's pretty much where the chapter ends. Unfortunately, we don't get to see Saitama fight this superpowered Cooler, but we all know how it would end, in one punch. Overall, this was such a fun chapter. The art was astronomically good and perfect. There's no doubt why Dragon Garou Lee was hand-selected to do the art for the time I was resurrected as Yamcha. And that's going to conclude this chapter. We do have one more after this, and that's going to be Dragon Ball Z Movie 2, The World's Strongest, but instead of Goku, it's Saitama. And I'm really excited to review this one. It's a short one, but it's fun, and that'll be coming up in just a couple days. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to see that video, give a thumbs up, and I'll see you guys soon for the next video. Awarida.